broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hello, Doctor Who fans! Welcome back to the Doctor Who After Show here on AFTERBUZZ TV, talking about Season 8, Episode 8, Mummy on the Orient Express. I'm Matt Lieberman, and we got a full panel here today. Mr. Zach Wilson is back.
Hey, guys.
Yael Tygiel is here.
Hi, everybody.
Jessie Klein is here.
Hey, everyone.
And special guest, the lovely Christen Gerhart.
Woo, Kristen.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, Christen, you are a magician and performer. You're also a huge Whovian.
Oh, so bad. It's so good.
Yeah. So let's talk about this episode. But first, for those of you who are watching us live, we are going to give out our Twitter handle so you can tweet us throughout the show. Those of you who tend to watch this after it comes out or listen to it on YouTube, on iTunes. What's happening to me? If you want to watch us live, we tape every Monday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and we highly encourage that you do so you can join in on the conversation. You can reach me on Twitter at Matt Lieberman. That's MattLieberman.
And you guys can find me at that Zach Wilson. That's ThatzachWilson.
You can find me at Yael Tygiel. I'll spell that slowly. It's YaelTygiel. Yeah, I'm sorry.
And you can find me at Jess Klein 1. That's JESSKLEIN, the number 1.
And Christen.
And I'm at Christen Gerhart, CHRISTENGERHART. Yes, I can spell my own name.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Points for me.
So I
The bell goes off. Ding.
I love this episode for a variety of reasons.
Same here.
It had some echoes of The Unicorn and the Wasp, which is one of my favorite Modern Who episodes. I thought that it had great elevated character stakes for both the Doctor and Clara throughout. I felt like it brought us to a great place to kick off the third leg of the season. And it introduced a very interesting concept of TARDIS addiction, which I think we're going to get into in a big way here, and how it affects both the Doctor and Clara, because now that it's been introduced, it totally explains a lot of behaviors, and I feel like it's a very deliberate decision to pull that curtain back now so that we can look back on everything we've seen and see that start to take root. I loved it. What'd you guys think?
I loved this episode. I don't know why. As it started, I was like, ooh, this reminds me of Eccleston and like that era. And I love Eccleston. So I was so excited. Just the first moments where we see Mrs. Pitt die, who I've decided is related to Brad. They're distant relatives in the future. And I was just like, oh, yeah, this is going to be great. And it was just a fun ride the whole way through.
I thought it was extremely well directed, and I thought the music was fantastic in it as well. I loved the having a good time.
Yeah, the Don't Stop Me Now cover by Foxes.
Yeah. It was really cool. I really enjoyed a lot of the scenes where it was the Doctor and Clara, and like the way that was directed. Whoever was doing the direction was doing a really good job.
I think this was a great episode because certain episodes this season have been so much fun to watch, and then as you thought about them more, they sort of lost a little bit of the fun as they became, as you realize little things like we talked about. Listen, a lot of so as one that gets a little bit more confusing, and the more you think about it. This one, the more you think about it, the second time I watched it, I got more excited. It was even better the second time through, going through and seeing new things and coming up with new ideas. Oh, what if this means this and this? Which I am excited to get into.
I really like that. I like that point. I want to come back to it in a second. What do you think, Kristen?
First off of that, I really want to say that I'm a huge Agatha Christie fan. So to bring that into any realm of any kind of popular culture aspect is just awesome. So yeah, again, The Unicorn and the Wasp, and then having it come back and Murder on the Orient Express. I love a good murder on the Orient Express. In this case, a couple of murders on the Orient Express. So that was awesome. So just having that kind of element, the costumes, fantastic. The set design, fantastic. Lighting, even fantastic. The details were perfection. And then bringing in this whole crazy adaptation of this mummy and this modern equipment, and just it's such a beautiful visual. I think they blended it really nicely. So that was my immediate impression. The interesting part that I'm really interested about getting into for this particular episode is we've seen Clara go through this huge kind of emotional upheaval and become angrier and more aggressive. And I think this whole TARDIS addiction idea is going to give us a little bit more information about her character and about what she's going through, because we've kind of seen this weird transition for her. And it's been a little bit tough, at least for me, watching it. And I think it's going to be really cool to see how that unfolds with Capaldi.
Absolutely. I just want to go back quickly to what you were saying, Zach, about how some of the episodes this season, and I think in seasons past, since Stephen Moffat took over the show, you know, have a little bit less of a shine on them upon repeated viewings, because he is not a fan of linear storytelling.
Yeah.
He likes writing an episode that is like a puzzle box, and that ultimately, after you've had all the fun of like peeling back its layers, there's not really anything there, or maybe it's a little plastic prize. You're like, oh, was that all that this was for? And I feel like
harmonica.
Exactly.
That is the greatest way to describe what he does with the show. That was beautifully said.
He's a big fan of clever writing and of playing with time travel in a way that is interesting for a writer and is interesting narratively. But ultimately, when you're watching an episode of television, it doesn't leave you with anything.
Yeah.
Versus this episode was so straightforward and was so grounded in character and in the internal conflict we left at the end of last episode, that ultimately, regardless of the great twist that we got in the middle of it, it felt like one straightforward progression as we explored, will they or won't they? Are they going to stop traveling together, or is Clara going to be able to pick things up? You know, obviously, this was a very deliberate attempt on the Doctor's part to bring some intrigue back into their relationship, and again, through lying, but maybe she's so addicted to the TARDIS that she doesn't care.
Yeah, I don't know about you guys, but when I first saw Clara and like she was all like made up and ready to go, number one, beautiful.
Yes.
But number two, I was like, oh, are they just doing a reset where it's like that big thing that happened in the last show, like it didn't happen? Or because that's happened before in the show where like something big has been said and the next episode it's like shot out of order or anything like that, and it's like, oh, I guess that didn't really count.
They forget like this major traumatic thing happened.
Yeah, so I was really worried that it was going to be like a reset or we wouldn't acknowledge it, and I was super happy to see like the two sides of it, because Clara and the Doctor were separated for a long time during it, so like to see both of them piece through it was really interesting.
Yeah. Just real quick, apparently some folks are having issues with the live stream today, so we apologize for that difficulty. Keep trying. If it doesn't work out, we will try to make sure that that is fixed for next week. We love having your participation when we talk about this show live. Yeah, so we come into this thing wondering if it's all blown over, and it turns out that
it's the last hurrah.
It's the last hurrah. This is supposed to be like one nice last jaunt before we're done forever. And Clara has had a few weeks to fume and ultimately decide, okay, I don't hate this guy. You know, yes, he has lied to me. Yes, he has put me in danger. Yes, he has taken me to levels of low morality that I never intended to reach, but I can't hate him for it because I kind of asked for it.
She's frustrated with him more than anything else. And how great was that scene though when they're in the hallway having the like the last hurrah? That was true. Like that was like such a film noir scene. It got me so excited.
That entire bit was great. Just the way that like Clara and the Doctor had like this back-to-back banter, and it ended with the same sentence that it started with, like the last hurrah. Like I thought that was amazing. I was really excited.
Yeah. I agree.
I agree.
That's just it. Well, what I liked about it is, and what I like about this season in general, is I feel like we have been getting far more grounded scenes of Clara and the Doctor talking about their relationship in a fashion that we really haven't seen, I don't think, since like 10 in rows.
Yeah.
Like, really, really. Like, you look at Amy Pond and the Doctor throughout their entire relationship. Once we introduced Rory into that whole situation, they never really had to talk about their relationship because there was no relationship to discuss.
Goofy buddies.
Yeah, she was happy to be there. He was her best friend. Her husband was there with her, too. Isn't that great? Doctor, this is dangerous. I know. Okay. Like, that's how I felt most of the time. I mean, you could throw Power of Three in there as an example of them working through it, but it wasn't really them talking to the Doctor. It was them talking to each other.
They were friends, and that's great. It was solid. It was what informed how they dealt with the circumstances that they fell into. Whereas now we're just running through like situations that like you wind up in as the Doctor, and how does that affect your relationship? How does it change your relationship? And I think that's the big thing with Clara is relationship to the Doctor, to the TARDIS, to this whole thing. That's her big standpoint.
Well, we have this conversation between Clara and I believe her name was Millie? Maisie. When they're trapped in the room with the sarcophagus, where she's kind of quizzing Clara about the nature of her relationship with the Doctor. Kristen, would you say, you know, obviously they're not lovers, they're not necessarily friends either. Would you say in the wake of this TARDIS addiction thing, are they just enablers? Do they just enable each other?
See, that's a very, it's kind of seems what that's about is them enabling each other, because they both kind of need each other in order to make this kind of thing work. But I'm really interested to see Clara's choice that has to happen. There's going to have to be a definitive point where she says it's either going to be Danny or it's going to be the Doctor, because Danny and the Doctor obviously don't like each other.
Yeah.
And Danny's not really a part of that. So she's completely torn. And I think when she says to the Doctor, you know, I can't do this the way that you do it, or however she puts it in the episode, it's really going to be interesting to see what she does as a standpoint, as, you know, is it morality? Is she going to take a stand and say, I can't, you know, lie for you anymore? How is that going to affect her relationship on the TARDIS with the people that they encounter on these trips? Because she always ends up being put in this moral dilemma. And the last episode, Kill the Moon, the Doctor made her be the voice of reason, be the distinctive voice of the planet. And I think it's this internal wonderful struggle, and I want to see a little bit more of that in the story.
I'm really curious on building off of that. What do you guys consider what Clara is doing at this point, especially the fact that she's not telling Danny? Do you consider it cheating?
That's a very interesting, complex question. What do you think, Yael?
Well, I don't consider it cheating, but I don't consider a lot of things cheating. I am not the person to ask. But I don't think it's cheating. I mean, Danny knows that she is traveling with the Doctor. Danny knows who the Doctor is now. He knows everything except for the fact that by the end of this episode, she lies to him. But
she lies to the Doctor, too.
Yeah.
But there's also the time travel thing. If she lies but comes back at the exact point when they had, he will never know.
Right?
I would call it emotional cheating, sure.
Yeah.
Like I would say that she is making sure that she's covered. She can come back at any time, but there's something that she needs from the Doctor that she is getting that she does not get from Danny, and so she is taking that from the Doctor instead.
I want Danny to get on the TARDIS with them. That's all I want.
I mean, that's the Amy and Rory solution to the situation.
I think it would be so much more interesting. I think it would be more of a Martha and Jack. That's what
Interesting.
I think.
Well, I mean, I've been clamoring for it for weeks because I'm just not sold on Clara and Danny together in terms of like what we've been seeing, and I think that putting them in dangerous situations will bring that out. But I would say that it is absolutely cheating because it is, as Jess said, it is emotionally cheating. But like this is such another level of like beyond friendship, beyond any like. Because just that moment where she like runs down, she's all smiles, like, now give me some planets, big boy. You could have easily replaced that with, now give me a kiss.
Dick. What?
Whoa!
What?
Matt.
Big D.
I'm sorry. It was covered up by what he said. I thought I could get away with it.
Or give me some sugar. Like any, not any PC version of that. But like,
but it was such a huge shift that she made. It was instant. It looked like she was dealing with this for so long, and then it was the easiest decision all of a sudden.
Yeah,
see, that's
like
the
that.
thing.
I wanted to see the cogs turn, and I didn't really get that.
Yeah, that whole wobbly thing where it's like, I'm wobbly, but I'm good now.
Yeah.
Was so weird. Like, I was like, is there an ulterior motive here? But I think it was just like her being back on the TARDIS, being excited about, like, they just solved a fun mystery, and it's like, she got to get that fix.
Well, it's also what Maisie said. If you only like people you're supposed to like, there are no fairy tales. If you're only supposed to be with the people you're supposed to be with. So I think it was that fairy tales line. This is Clara's fairy tale. This is what she's always wanted. This is what we've all wanted. This is secretly what people love, adventure and something completely mysterious. And you have all of time and space at your fingertips. How can you give that up?
It's true.
You know?
I think it's also, I think they, at the end, everyone lived. Everyone lived just this once. And I think that's, she loves that. She loves when everyone lives and it's a happy ending, as opposed to last week when, you know, she had to make that terrible decision.
Yeah.
I think it's one thing when the Doctor can make that moral decision, but when she's put in a position, even where last week when the planet lives and a new moon comes up and, you know, we're all happy, she's still unhappy because she was the one that had to make that decision. And I don't know if it's that maybe she doesn't trust her own judgment, maybe she's not quite comfortable being put in that command position where she just wants to go on these adventures and know that everything's going to be okay because she's with this Doctor that can make everything better. I don't really know exactly what it is, what her exact issue was, but being put in that command state was uncomfortable for her. But all of a sudden when the Doctor's in a place where he can save everyone, we're all happy again.
It became too real for her. Like it was that moment where it's like she's in charge of the life or death like stakes instead of the Doctor. The microscope was too close.
I want to talk, just circling back, Christen, to you mentioned this moment where it seems so easy and all of a sudden the smile comes to her face and it's just like, let's go. To me, that's the moment she's already chosen. It's not, you know, like there's going to come a moment where she has to choose between Danny and the Doctor. She chose. She knew in that moment that she was going to lie to Danny and to the Doctor and subsequently probably doom both relationships. She basically, she's like, I like this. I don't care about the consequences. Right here, right now, I want more. And that's total addict brain.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's like anybody who has ever relapsed, that's the moment where the positives seem to outweigh the negatives in the moment, and it doesn't matter that there's a risk.
But I also don't think that, because right now, because she's in the TARDIS and she can come back at any point in time, her relationship with Danny and her mindset in that exact moment is not in danger. Because she can come back at that perfect time, and he'll never miss her. There's going to be a point where her relationship with Danny is in danger, and that's going to be a bigger choice. Because then it will be, I can lose this relationship and never fix it again, and go with the Doctor, or I can choose the Doctor. You know, there's going to be that choice. Right now, she kind of put Danny on the back burner and was like, okay, he's safe, and I can come back, and I can go back there, and it'll all be fine. So let me just go off on my adventure and return back home whenever I feel like it.
She's got to hit rock bottom before she makes the choice. If we're gonna use the lingo,
right?
Yeah.
You wouldn't call fate of the planet Earth in her hands rock bottom.
Apparently it was.
Yeah, no, she.
I think
Not
She
even
got
close.
out of it.
I think she's probably describing what the rock bottom is, which is when Danny's relationship becomes is now on the line. That's gonna be the big, like, decision moment for her. I also think that, you know, Clara is doing a lot of bargaining with herself, which is also a lot of addict behavior, where she's lying to herself thinking that it's going to be okay with Danny and the Doctor, even though for most of this episode she was furious with the Doctor and was ready to be done. I think it's going to be interesting to see how she goes further and is okay with this relationship.
Right, but being faced with the loss of the Doctor is what I think pushed her to not let go.
Yeah.
She's not faced with the loss of Danny or that other life, but she was, in this episode, completely faced with losing the Doctor forever. You know, that, are you going to come around for dinner? Sure, I'll come around. She knows that he won't.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen. So being faced with that huge loss was too much. But right now, her other life is perfectly safe. So it was, I think those lost moments when she's faced with losing Danny or losing that regular life, those are going to be really integral to her character.
We're also not discussing the scene on the beach where she was reaffirmed of the Doctor's good qualities.
Yeah.
In the wake of this change into the 12th or 13th Doctor, if you want to count the War Doctor, but we don't, because this is this show and he didn't have a number, so forget it.
So confusing.
Yeah.
War Doctor.
Yeah. You know, like you learned your numbers when you were a kid. 7, 8, War, 9, 10. Where, you know, she had forgotten that he doesn't want to be heartless.
Uh-uh.
He wants to save everybody.
He got 2 hearts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally thought there was an opening for a joke there.
There was.
And he
yeah.
just didn't do it.
Come on, it was a tender moment. Let's just have it for once instead of
No.
being glib.
But also, it reminded me of a lot of the finales we've seen, especially when they talk about the fall of Gallifrey, when he says sometimes you're not faced with any good options, but you have to choose.
Yeah.
He's put in a lot of situations where he has to choose, and that's just it. People put everyone's lives in his hands, and what is he going to do with them? Sometimes he can't save everyone, and that's been evident in his past, especially.
Just this once.
It's very interesting coming so soon after the 50th, like just because this was like butting up right against it, where that whole thing was you have to make a decision. There's no good decision, and then they're like, but there's always a way out.
Yeah.
And then this doctor, if this doctor had been in that situation, I think he just he hits that red button and walks away.
Oh, he would have.
Well, I love Capaldi's take. It's darker. The way that the writer who wrote this past episode describes it, it's a little bit Hugh Laurie-esque. It's a little bit Dr. House.
Oh, yeah.
It's a little bit, it's a little bit Sherlock Holmes. He's arrogant, he's dark, and I love seeing this side of the Doctor coming off of a Doctor who was so bubbly and so happy and so positive, who had wonderful comedic moments, but then seeing this a Doctor in turmoil, but also totally confident. It's very interesting.
Yeah, he had a great line. People with guns with their heads don't have time to mourn. I thought that was fantastic. I was like, oh, holy crap, this guy's ready. He's ready to do some science.
Well, that's the thing. He's the pragmatist Doctor.
Yeah.
He 100%. It's all about the task at hand. It's all about maintaining the peace. It's all about saving the life. It's all about the greater good. He doesn't have time to quibble or to try to get anything extra. It's about what is going to get this job done, because I've seen too many deaths.
I think Gus showing his hand and taking the holograms away were a big relief to him. Yeah. Because then it was like, oh, I'm in a lab. I know what to do here. Right. Lab is look at data and then, make observations and that kind of stuff. So I think that was kind of a relief to him when Gus revealed himself.
I think it really reminds me of Sherlock Holmes. It's like, here's what you're working with, and then he can finally, you saw him just light up at the thought of a puzzle to being solved. It wasn't how many lives I can save. It was like, he had a line in there where he's like, I just move on to the next and the next until I beat it. Yeah. It was the puzzle. He wants the puzzle. It's very Sherlock Holmes. It was like, all right, let's get rid of all the riffraff, all these holograms, all this Orient Express. Give me what I need to work with and let me work.
Well, it's kind of a little bit like people with Asperger's, when they're processing anything, they want to know the rules. Yeah. Once they know what the rules are, what they can and can't do, then they're able to think through all the possible things that they can do within those boundaries. Yeah. And he wanted to know, who am I fighting? What do they want? How long do I have? And what's my next move? Yeah. And as soon as he had all the rules, when there was no more illusions at play, it was like, okay, thank you. These people are going to die. Let's figure out what order it's happening so that I can figure this out before more of them die than need to die. Yeah. Yeah. Perfect.
Can we talk about how Einstein was there and he was useless?
Yeah.
I was like, what's Einstein doing there?
He is
just
Einstein
chilling out.
Silent. He didn't have anything to add, and he didn't really do anything.
They didn't actually, just to be clear, they didn't actually establish him as Einstein. They just said there's a physicist in the room.
He's
and
just
a dude.
Space Einstein.
Happens to look like Einstein.
He's Spinestein. Space Einstein.
I feel like Einstein is Space Einstein.
Yeah.
Regular Einstein.
I mean, if we want to
you know
get
what I mean?
technical. Yeah.
Whatever.
If you want to
He
get
was
literal, I
useless,
mean,
guys.
look at his body of work.
Yeah.
No, that was a very, very, very good
I
point.
wish he was wearing that red sweater.
Oh,
Sticking his tongue out at us.
Yeah. Okay, here, before we move on, and we still have so much to discuss and so little time to do it in, I just want to really quickly mention iTunes. You know, folks, I say it every week, and only because it's the truth, the best way for you to support AfterBuzz TV is to go to iTunes and rate and review the shows that you listen to or that you watch on YouTube. It's quick, it's simple, it doesn't cost you a dime, and it helps out everyone here. It's how we get our sponsors, it's how we get our wonderful guests like Christen, and it's how we keep our doors open and our lights on. It's also the best way for you to tell us how you feel about our programming. You know, we here at AfterBuzz TV, we put out over 80 hours of free after-show content a week. We provide the widest variety of after-show podcasts available on any platform. And what podcast in the world is going to offer you a video option and 2 sonic screwdrivers in the same room, honestly? So,
size matters, my friend.
It's true. Oh.
Convenience.
Yeah.
Convenience.
You gotta get into tight spots sometimes.
Let's not go down down this road. You also get a great shout out here on the show, and I am pulling up reviews at the moment. You know, we're sitting on 143 ratings on the Doctor Who podcast, and we put out 2 shows a week. We put out this show, and we put out the Doctor Who classic show that Zach hosts on Wednesdays.
Yeah, this Wednesday we're going to be talking about the classic Hartnell episode, The Time Meddler.
Ooh.
And then next week we're going to do the first regeneration story ever with the 10th planet.
Oh, sick.
I'm really excited about it.
Oh, I want to be there.
Is the 10th planet Planet X?
No. I don't know.
It's just called The 10th Planet. I haven't watched it yet.
Roman numeral.
All right. So if you rate and review the show, you get a shout out here on our show. Setai Sticks writes, the best AfterBuzz podcast goes to Doctor Who, 5 stars. This is one of the few AfterBuzz shows definitely worth tuning in for, both new and the classic. I'm a longtime Who fan, watching on PBS since I was a kid, and I am really getting a kick out of listening to the differing opinions and insights. It reminds me of the various D&D groups I've been a part of. Diverse, yet not divisive. Keep it coming. Nerds rule. I love it. Eric464, Doctor Who podcast, 5 stars. Great podcast. You know how long it took Eric464 to write that review? 10 seconds.
Whoa, that's long for a great podcast.
Okay, well, maybe I'm underestimating him.
Okay.
He had to title it, too. Doctor Who podcast.
That's true.
Keep Who coming from HMSLJJ4.
Ooh.
Oh. You guys are now part of my Who viewing, and it's really appreciated. As far as the episode is concerned, is anyone not at all upset that Clara wants to leave? She can be funny, she's gorgeous, she has some great big moments, but for whatever reason, I just don't care that much about her. I've been sad to see other companions leave, especially Donna, but right now I can't feel that way about Clara. Honestly, if this was last season, I would have agreed with you, but I feel like they've done such a wonderful job of strengthening her character episode over episode that I'm bummed to see her go.
It's getting better, definitely, but I agree to a certain extent that, like, it's not... I wouldn't be crying the way, like, the Angels Take Manhattan episode was, like, so emotional seeing those characters leave. That hurt.
Yeah.
But if Clara left, like, unless the episode was some unbelievably written, fantastic jump, it would be tough for me to get emotional.
Well, here, but we're gonna get into this.
Also, bring Donna back. I'm okay with
she's
that.
She's the best. Donna's the best, bar none.
So underrated.
But I gotta finish these. Missy and Clara theories, 5 stars from Casey Rhiannon. These theories are rather vague and not well thought out yet, but I think Missy could very well be a possible future version of the Doctor.
Oh.
He isn't sure how many regenerations he has now, which he flat out said in Kill the Moon. Is it possible he called Clara himself as Missy, the woman in the shop, to make sure that Clara stuck around?
Oh.
We've been playing a lot with that Tardis phone in this season. I don't know. Interesting.
Awesome.
Also, to the theory that Clara might be pregnant, she was drinking champagne on this episode.
Yeah, I think that dispels it.
That doesn't dispel anything.
They
might
may
not
just be
know.
reckless.
But if they knew they were going there, a show like Doctor Who is not going to let people go back and be like, she was drinking alcohol while pregnant.
Yeah. Go Doctor
But you
Who
never
fans.
saw her take a sip. That's all I'm saying.
That's true. She was just holding it.
Just holding it, just a prop.
I don't think. I mean, I'm
Yeah. I'm going to go real quick on these. Go Doctor Who fans go from JD Wrights 101. Awesome from Snowy Night, both 5 stars. Wonderful podcast, Person 5423, 5 stars. Great podcast, Savannah N, 5 stars. Doctor Who Classics, Emily 549. I'm just going to read this because Doctor Who Classics deserves some love. 5 stars. Thank you so much for doing this podcast. I'd been meaning to watch classic Doctor Who for a while. When I found this podcast, I thought I'd finally give it a try. The panel is great, and I love hearing what everyone has to say. I was surprised by how much I enjoy watching classic Who, and this podcast makes it even better. I look forward to it every week. And that is the final review for today. So, folks, keep those reviews coming. We're sitting on 143 ratings right now. I see no reason why we can't hit 200 by the end of this season.
There's no reason.
No reason at all. No. So please keep those coming. Okay. So we've talked a lot about the Doctor and Clara so far. I want to talk about the Foretold and about Gus and about the machinations of this plot.
Before we go on, I just want to say that the Foxes...
Don't
cameo,
Stop Me Now. Yeah.
Which was
so dope.
Teased and everyone's looking forward to and excited about. And yes, it was great. I wanted more.
It's just dope.
I feel like they missed a great opportunity.
So cool.
I have one more tangent. The gummy bears.
The jelly babies.
Jelly babies. Jelly. I don't eat any of those things. Amazing. Yes. I heard it was Capaldi's choice to do that.
Well, I
was
love
his
that
idea.
because
Sounds like
it's
it.
a wonderful
Yeah.
throwback
Genius.
to the Fourth Doctor.
Fantastic.
It was an interesting moment too, where
Yeah.
you like opened it up, you thought it was a cigarette case.
Yeah, and then it was just jelly babies.
Jelly babies.
Oh man,
Perfection.
I had never had jelly babies before, but then someone sent at my job at SourceFed, we were doing a Doctor Who show, and they sent us a whole box of jelly babies.
Wow.
And they
Did
are,
you eat them all in the closet by yourself?
No, because technically I'm on a diet, so I only had like a
Technically.
Half
couple.
of them.
I only had half of them and just hated
That's
myself.
why you were in
While
the,
you were
you were in
doing-
the closet. Calories don't count if you're in the closet.
Or the
You're on the
TARDIS.
TARDIS.
This
You were doing push-ups and then eating a jelly baby every time.
that's how it works, right?
That's it, yeah. A
Yeah.
push up for 8,000 calories.
You're
Jelly
winning
babies.
the math equation.
Thank you.
So back to the foretold. Back to the
Yes.
foretold.
So when they said mummy on the Orient Express, I don't think any of us expected this like kind of spectral phase shifting mummy soldier from the 8th dimension.
No, of course not.
No.
It was cool.
Yeah, I
Are
liked
you
it a
my
lot.
mummy?
Yeah.
The best callback.
Great
Come on.
callback.
So good.
Necessary.
I thought it was really interesting. That's two creatures this season that have been soldiers that have kind of been lost in time and
Ooh.
like reactivated on accident or have been like trying to fight a war they've already lost.
Yeah.
It's also a major theme. This is another AI playing a significant role,
Yeah.
which is just everything that we've done this season has been with an AI. With Kill the Moon being like, I think the only exception in an episode that didn't have an AI prominently featured.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I thought it was interesting. It also reminded me of the episode where they're on a submarine.
Cold War.
Yeah, Cold War. It reminded me of that because it was again a soldier that has been reactivated and is trying to fight a war that is long gone. Which also the Doctor
Yeah.
is.
And they're also fans of villains that only certain people can see. The
Yeah.
silence and things like that. What I love that idea, and they play around with it a lot, and it never seems to get old for me.
Yeah.
I love
just
the
me.
I love the moment when everyone could see it.
Yeah.
He was like, "Should I start the clock yet?"
Yeah. The clock was also fantastic. It's
Yeah.
a great way to add like building drama. Like with the silence, we got the drama because it was just such an intense scenario. But with the mummy, having that time clock almost seemed completely necessary to
Yeah.
enforce that dramatic build. I loved it.
That was a great little, having the bug in the corner was
So
fantastic.
Yeah.
good, yeah.
I think it's great. Like, I love that idea, and I don't think it gets old because the idea of a monster that is always scarier. It's the Jaws theory.
Yeah.
It's always scarier when you can't see it.
Yeah.
It's in the background. You
Yeah.
can create it in your own mind. And so even though we get to see this monster, and it's like not that super scary, and like
Yeah.
I think and that's what happens when everybody sees it. They're like, it's a man standing in ragged bandages. Like, it's creepy, but not like it's scary. But just them worrying about it. What is this thing?
There just
Needing-
would have been this random aside of like, I do say, Clarence, do you see that man in those raggedy bandages stumbling about the carriage?
Oh, how droll!
What wonderful entertainment! How lively!
Well-
More caviar!
you
There's
do joke about
tomfoolery afoot.
You do joke about that. There was, for about half this episode, I thought it was going to be a twist that this was an Orient Express created as a, like, murder mystery Agatha Christie
That's what I
fan
thought
I had
thing.
the same thought
That's
as
what I
well.
thought too.
Yeah, like when the door wouldn't open because you needed an executive order. I was like, oh, there's just a bunch of like Agatha Christie fans like manipulating everything. Yeah, it's a bunch of nerds
Just Hercule
in a
Poirot.
room.
Yeah.
Well, that, like, the people dying is, like, it's, like, in on it, or they are
Yeah.
holograms, and, like, it's the fun of, like, solving this mystery.
It's
you
like
And then
pay
the
for
twist
this
would be,
pleasure.
wait a minute, she wasn't supposed to die.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a real death. The first real death on this murder mystery train tour we've had in 1,000 years.
Well,
Spiderweb.
I love when the Doctor asks Quell, how many bodies have to, like, how many people have to die for you to start doing something? He's, three. Three,
Three is
apparently.
the number.
I was like, that's great.
Yeah.
He answered it.
I was like, oh, he actually had a number.
Apparently.
Well, 2 is a coincidence, 3 is a pattern.
Yeah.
Sure.
Did anyone think, like, I love Perkins because he was such a wonderful
don't
red
trust him.
herring. Well, just because, like,
Yeah, he did seem really creepy at first.
how
No, I
enigmatic.
loved him. He's great.
I feel like a person can only be so enigmatic without being suspicious.
No, I thought he was going to jump on the TARDIS and join them for at least an episode. I was so excited.
I was excited about just this idea of this, like, live-in engine room guy
Yeah.
who's just,
Yeah.
like, dressed up like it's the 1840s.
Just have Scotty on the TARDIS.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he and anytime time the Doctor, you know, was lonely or needed a moment, he could just go down to the engine room and have a verbal sparring match with this just
I
dude
picture
in a
them
conductor's
building
cap.
robots and then having robot fights.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Come on.
But his interruption. Do
you remember BattleBots?
Of course I remember BattleBots. What do I
BattleBots
look
was
like in Monster?
Or he becomes the Doctor's mad scientist who builds him like crazy sonic screwdrivers all the time.
Oh yeah.
Endless possibilities.
His introduction was very creepy.
Yeah,
Like it was him like shade on his face.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing back here?
And he's just casually standing in the shadows, you know, corner of a room.
Yeah.
You know, no big.
thought-
I loved him.
It seemed sinister at first, but then he turned into a great, like, also because he was calling the Doctor out on his moral shortcomings, it was like, oh, this guy's being set up like a companion, where it's like he's bringing the Doctor back to humanity. But then he made probably the most intelligent choice, which was, I don't think I'll join you.
I was like, you know what? I'm a pass.
You were too okay with all those cooks dying.
Well, you can see the intelligence working in him from the very beginning.
Yeah.
You can see he was already on that road that the Doctor when he brings the plans in. He's like,
Yeah.
I've already been looking into this. You can see his intelligence, and I really enjoyed companions that have that really intelligent aspect and just completely show it. It's
I
great.
want him to join Strax and Vastra and Jenny. I want Perkins to join them. That
You're
would
just
be
making
amazing.
it like an A team.
Yeah. That is the greatest team ever.
We need an enigmatic, brainy dude.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, somebody who's working on gadgets.
I
That's
think
what they need.
that's Strax, right?
No, because he's making like those paternoster things, like the scanner that showed how much Clara thinks about men's gymnastics.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we need a Perkins in that.
We need a
mix.
useful one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are we going to talk about Gus?
Let's talk about
Yeah,
Gus.
let's
Gus.
talk about
Gus is still out there.
He is.
He was trying to bend this mummy to his will.
Knew about the Doctor?
Knew about the Doctor. Had been trying to get him on the Orient Express since the end of season 5, the Big Bang, when he called them up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gus was voiced by not who you thought, but it was John Sessions, apparently.
Oh.
Yeah, I looked it up.
He went in for a session.
Yeah, John
Nice.
Sessions went
Yeah.
in for a session.
I thought it was interesting. I like the idea of a nemesis for the Doctor. I think it's interesting as far as storytelling goes to have kind of this counter force for him. I want to know who he is. I want to know who Gus is.
I cannot wait to
I
find
also
out.
like that he had an anti-TARDIS field where like he
Yeah.
couldn't get back into it. Like,
So,
or do you think that was a lie?
no,
Oh no,
Zach
that
has
was
a question.
true because
Okay.
Clara tried to get to the TARDIS.
Is this
It
a
was
question or a
absolutely
theory,
blocked.
pal?
Theory. I have
Okay.
a theory.
All right,
If you have time
let
for
her rip.
All right.
Theory it up.
You know that I've been on the show multiple times and talking about my Missia's River craziness.
Yeah.
I don't want any more.
All right. Well, okay.
Well,
it
Gus
doesn't
spelled
have to be.
backwards is river.
It doesn't. It doesn't have to be with that entirely. But again, just playing with this constant theme of AI.
Yeah.
Could it be that they are setting up the Doctor, testing his sort of respect for AI? They're playing with him. There's a lot of AI going into
I think I
his-
know where you're
yeah.
going.
Well, we know that. Well, River's
Librarians.
effectively an AI now,
And that she's
Where
like
she
the
is,
library
yeah.
brain.
And we talked about the nether sphere being like this underneath sphere. It could be the library in another form, like a bigger thing. And it makes me think of like the Ood sphere, the sense sphere. We go all the way back to the sense.
If we're going to start talking about every single sphere out there, then of course you can make a connection.
mental connections with AI, that's what I'm
Basketball,
playing with now.
volleyball,
It's
tennis
insane,
ball.
and I
Apple.
can't stop.
I
Yeah.
originally thought they brought the whole AI thing in to just tie really nicely into the new steampunk theme that they had for the whole Doctor Who
Yeah.
revamp. So when you see in the beginning when they get on the Orient Express, the one guy comes out with
Yeah.
a monocle. I think it's just all those little aspects tie into the whole steampunk theme. I think that's kind of a running theme now. So we're going to see a lot more of this in the rest of Capaldi's career because they've revamped it as this beautiful steampunk.
Right. Sleek blue metal TARDIS filled with chalkboards and books.
Exactly,
and,
exactly. So the mix of the two, and the gears are turning around the top.
Yeah.
All those tiny
So
little
why do you think Gus wanted this mummy?
I think he wanted a
That's
weapon.
what I was thinking about.
Yeah.
So the sarcophagus, they wanted to originally trap it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what were they going to use it for? And then what else are they trying to get? Are they trapping other kinds of intelligence, other kinds of things?
I'm
out
gonna
there?
throw this out there. They were trying to get a hold on that tech that allowed it to phase through dimensions. It was looking
Right.
for phase shifting technology.
Okay.
You know,
and also the vault and the
I see where you're
bank
going.
episode
Yeah.
where it had everything in it. I mean, there are a lot. I wonder what
Lots of
things they're
artifacts
looking
in
at
there.
collecting.
but
the Blitzer,
Yeah.
all of its weaponry. Maybe it wanted the Blitzer as well.
yeah.
I hear where you're going. Please.
Okay. Well, no, it's just we see Missy in this nether sphere
Paradise.
in
Promised
paradise
land.
with
Yeah.
all of these different doors, which
Yeah.
I posited were to different moments in time, or planets, or dimensions, or whatever. If it's the space that exists below existence, then it can go to all these different places. Having phase shifting technology would make it a lot easier to pinpoint and go wherever she wants to go,
Sure.
and bring her army of dead souls with her. Or is this Sleepy Hollow all of a sudden? No, it's not. But there's
Or
something
to
to
bring people from the dimension that Gallifrey is in back into our dimension.
Sure.
Yeah.
What? Like, someone might want to do that? Who might want to do that?
Well, not the Ronnie, because Stephen Moffat apparently said it's not
It's
the
not
Ronnie.
going to be the Ronnie.
No.
I was thinking of someone else that I got all angry and huffy about,
Not
and
the
fans
Ronnie.
got mad.
What?
Missy being the.
The Master?
That's it.
Yeah.
Well, we've been saying that since the beginning of the
I
season.
know. I'm just I'm apologizing
Also,
in my
Missy
own way.
could be a completely new enemy. I mean, I think it's more pleasing if she's someone from the past. I think as a storytelling standpoint, it's more pleasing if she's like an ancient enemy for the Doctor. But yeah.
What if she's connected to the Shakri somehow? We haven't had them mentioned since the Power of Three. I'm trying to recall what they said when they passed through that solid wall onto their ship, and whether or not it was referred to as phase shifting technology. But that is an ancient evil that was something the Doctor heard about as just a fairy tale story, a bedtime story when he was a child. And they're still out there. They reintroduced that on purpose.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just saying.
I think it's probably that shrub planet.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The shrub
The planet of the living shrubs.
Yeah.
Okay, unfortunately, we are running out of time, so we got to go straight into formal predictions.
Ooh.
Yes.
And now,
Yeah.
your AFTERBUZZ TV predictions.
Okay, so next week, it appears we are getting some kind of fun playing with dimensions and space-time kind of dealy. People getting turned into not quite paintings. It's a lot like that Legend of Zelda: Link Between Two Worlds game that came out recently. Where you
Eating dimensions is what they say.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do we think's going on in that episode? And for the rest of the season to come, we have 5 episodes left.
Bite your
Yeah,
tongue.
9, 10, 11, 12, and 13, with the 12 and 13 being a two-parter. So
We
what's up?
did not get any kind of like Missy interaction in this episode, so I think we're definitely going to see something in the next episode, or at least I'm seriously hoping, because every little tidbit, they're so short.
We
but they're
need
so good.
something.
We
Yeah.
need something, and it's got to start unfolding kind of soon. We need some kind of thing.
Feed us
I
something.
love the dimensional stuff. I think next episode is going to be even further in depth with that, and then we might get hopefully get some kind of an insight into what she may be using to play with this kind of dimensional shift from 2-dimensional to 3-dimensional. Like the aliens apparently are some kind of a 2-dimensional, 3-dimensional
Yeah.
experimentation stuff.
So
that's
that
going
could
on.
play perfectly into your theory
Yeah.
about them needing dimensional technology. If Missy is the one that's behind testing all this stuff out,
Yeah.
You're so excited.
I like being right.
It looks to me like the way they showed it. It looks a lot like the Cybermen when they were invading Earth and there were ghosts.
it does.
So I'm gonna throw out a prediction: Cybermen are gonna be big soon. There's gonna be a big Cybermen thing.
Well, they're the one big robot that we have. Well, the one robot we haven't seen. We had the Daleks, which are organic matter and robotics.
As are Cybermen.
As our Cybermen, as are the Clockwork Men that we had at the
Yeah.
top of the season. Like, this whole season has just been a recurrence, not just robots, but the union of organic tissue and robotics.
Yeah.
I definitely agree. I think Cybermen are on their way for sure. Not just because there are photos floating around, but I think that they're for sure on their way. And I
Are there
think,
photos?
yeah, of Missy and Cybermen.
That would make sense.
Yeah. So I think
sense.
that is for sure coming, hopefully sooner rather than later. Other than that, I have no idea. I want to know who Gus is. It really bugs me. And I'm like, well, Yana was, you are not alone. What does Gus stand for? It's not River. That's all. Those are my
Again,
predictions.
I just enjoy throwing out insane theories. I'm not
Sure.
particularly married. I do like the idea of Missy as some form of river. I'm still clinging to that basic idea. But I love the dimensional thing, and I still think those two things could go hand
Good
in
upward strokes.
I like the idea of Missy being something new, using old technology, using maybe aliens that they're just introducing or even further back, and then bringing it into a new villain that maybe we haven't met yet. I like that idea. But I don't
my
know if
one
that's
thing I'm
possible.
clinging to that makes me think that she's somebody that we've met before is her constant
Boyfriend.
references. Yeah, the boyfriend. The idea that
exactly,
she
yeah.
knows the Doctor implies that we also know her.
Yeah.
I think also we've seen a lot of callbacks this season,
Go
and
under shoe.
a little bit of last season, and I think that we are going to. It's definitely she's a callback for sure. Go under
right.
shoe. No,
I do
Go
think
under
she
shoe.
works through AI. Like she's like writing code into AI or something is a huge master plan where every episode of the season has built
The great
in a way
intelligence.
Give
that
up
Moffat
salad.
could.
Getting ugly soon.
Give up salad.
Give up salad. All right, folks, I want to thank you so much for joining us this week on the Doctor Who After Show. Tune in on Wednesday for the Doctor Who Classic Show where we're doing, what is the episode again?
The Time Meddler, which is available on Hulu Plus.
Yes, The Time Meddler, available on Hulu Plus. We will be back next week with an all-new episode covering episode 9. Zach Wilson, where can the people find you?
You guys can catch me on Twitter and Instagram at @ThatZachWilson, and also here at AfterBuzz on Z Nation, Doctor Who Classics, and then Sleepy Hollow. I'm going to be doing Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. tomorrow.
Yes, you will.
You can find me online at yael.tv. That's YAEL.tv. There you'll find info about all the other shows I do here at AfterBuzz. You can also find me on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Google Plus at Yael Tygiel. That's YAELTYGIEL.
Okay, Jesse.
Yeah, you can find me at Jess Klein1, JESSKLEIN, the number 1. That'll be on Twitter and Instagram. And I do Doctor Who here, and I do live comedy around Los Angeles.
Okay, and Kristen.
You can find me at Christen Gerhart on Twitter and Instagram. You can also check out my YouTube channel. It's kind of magic and girly stuff called Bitchcraft. And I also host a show at theory11.com called Expose and Wizard Wars on Sci-Fi.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. And you can find me on Twitter at Matt Lieberman. That's MATTLIEBERMAN. You can find all my videos for SourceFed Nerd, and on my personal channel on YouTube. Just search for Matt Lieberman. And I'm doing Sons of Anarchy, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and Sleepy Hollow. All right, folks. Thank you guys so much. We'll be back next week. Good night.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.